Why your childhood upbringing is the reason you end up in toxic relationships. And I am definitely one to speak on this because I've been in very toxic relationships where I wasn't respected, where I was dismissed, where I just wasn't regarded as a partner. And I think the sad thing is, with most of my relationships, I don't even think I can really call them relationships. I mean, the first guy that I fell head over heels for, it was an on and off situation, but it was never clear whether we were in a relationship. He never really called me his girlfriend, but we had a thing going on. And that's part of just the toxic type of relationships that I've been in, where you're not even sure if it's really a relationship, but somehow you're going along with it. You feel like you're not respected, you're not given enough time, energy, but somehow you still go along with it. And I've spoken about this in a couple of episodes that the reason that I tolerated that from the guys that I would see or be in a quote unquote relationship, even if I could call it that, the reason I tolerated that behavior, it's because subconsciously it was normal because of my childhood upbringing, because there was dysfunctional behavior in my own family whereby we couldn't communicate clearly and in a healthy way with each other, whereby my own mother and my own sister, they belittled me, they made me feel small, they would point out my flaws, they were emotionally unavailable to me, they were emotionally distant, but they needed a lot of emotional support, which drained me because no one was filling my cup. So I was filling their cup by being there for them. And most of it, even though I think a lot of it was genuine. I think I was being real by me being there for them and just kind of hoping that one day they would be there for me in the same way. But a lot of it also had to do with people pleasing. I've said this a number of times that I am no longer, I was such a mommy pleaser, which turned me into a people pleaser. So I just I would bend in order to be liked. I would do above and beyond in order to be liked because that is how I functioned with my own mother. I had to go above and beyond to feel like she likes me. Even though my mother was never physically abusive, even though my mother never withheld physical needs, like say for instance, like food, things I needed for school, my mother did that. But I think for her, that was the only extent that she could go in, say, maybe showing love. And I don't even want to sound ungrateful because I've said this so many times and I feel like I always have to say it. I think maybe I still feel the need to justify or explain myself that I am grateful that my mother took care of me, fed me, clothed me, took me to school. But at the same time, it felt like that was all she could give of herself. I like emotionally, my needs were not met. Emotionally, I was the one meeting her needs, and more than meeting her needs, I was doing too much. I was doing more than I should have been doing. There is supporting a person, being there for them, and then there's just doing too much. There is such a thing as doing too much when it comes to maybe helping someone, encouraging someone. Because if you're doing too much to a point where you feel drained, I think for me, that's how I see that I did too much with my mother, with my own family, by me being there for them, being the pillar of strength, always being the strong one, something that they always commented on, I think in a way just to keep me as the pillar of strength, because that is definitely the one thing that they praised me on, that, oh, you are so strong. And now I realize that it wasn't a good type of praise. It wasn't a good compliment. It was just a way, I think, to keep me as the pillar of strength. By them consistently praising me or saying that, oh, you are strong, I started internalizing that to such a point that I felt like I shouldn't be weak. I shouldn't voice out how I really feel. I shouldn't be vulnerable. I shouldn't, open up and say, like, hey, I am not strong. I'm not always strong. And that's okay. So I think for them, even just them saying that, it was keeping me in a certain position. Again, this is just part of the psychological abuse. Like, these people are twisted. Like, I cannot believe that I'm saying this about my family, but they are twisted. They really are. And they are the reason that I've been in toxic relationships, because all those things, all those behavior, bad behavior, toxic behavior, dysfunctional behavior from my own family, I internalized it, and then I went on with my life to date people who treated me in the same unhealthy way. And so because it wasn't foreign to me, it wasn't something new to not have, it wasn't new to me when someone didn't meet my emotional needs. And so the reason I stuck around in the relationships where I was not really respected, the person was not really there for me, the person didn't even have the guts to admit that we are in a relationship. The reason I stayed in all of that is because from back home, from my own childhood upbringing, like I got used to not having my emotional needs met. I got used to being made to feel small. I got used to being made to feel like I'm always second and I never come first. Like, my emotional needs don't matter. Like, I, as a person, I don't matter. I always have to put other people first, because that's what I did with my mother. I always put her first. And the sad thing is, in as much as I always put her first, it was never enough. Ugh, that's the thing that even ticks me off. Like, I try to be everything to you, but it's not enough. Like, don't you just hate it when you help someone and then they end up asking for more? In Zulu, we have the saying where we say, "Ngikuphi isandla, ufuna ingalo yonke." So translated, loosely translated, it says, I'm giving you my hand, but you want my whole arm. And I think that was the case with my mother. I was like, okay, here, I'm going to give you my hand. I'm going to help you. Like, but then you want my whole body. That was the thing. That's the thing I think that really just gets to me and really annoys me, that in as much as I tried to be everything for my mother, because she was a single woman, there were times where she was not working, things were not coming together. And I guess I felt obligated as the eldest daughter to be there for her, but it was still not enough, and it was never going to be enough. This is why I'm so glad that I'm on this healing journey where I'm changing my behavior, where I'm changing the way I am and the way that I am there for my mother. Like, the way that I support my mother, the way that I'm there for her, it is moderated. It has boundaries now. I can't be everything to everyone. I can't be everything to one person. That is a lot. That is a lot to carry on my shoulder. And for me to even feel like I have had to carry my own mother for such a long time, even as seasons changed in her life and things got better and things looked up, still I felt like I had to carry her in my shoulders, and I'm tired. So yes, my being there for my mother now has boundaries. But still, there are still side effects, if I could call it that, side effects of being raised like that, of not having my emotional needs met, of suppressing my feelings, of always just feeling anxious, because my family would make me feel anxious. They would make me question myself. They influenced, they played a huge role in me having a low self-esteem. They were not helpful whatsoever in helping me like build my confidence. And so because of all those things, the childhood upbringing that I had, when it comes to romantic relationships, I got it so wrong. I got it wrong. Like, I look at some of the guys that I dated. Some I can't even say I dated. I guess we just had a thing going on, because Some just didn't even have the guts or didn't want to, not even guts. They probably just didn't want to like say that I am their girlfriend and that we are in a relationship. Some just didn't want to. And I stayed anyway when I knew like I'm not happy like with you not even saying that we are in a relationship, or I'm not happy with you communicating with you not communicating with me on a freaking basis or giving me your time and your energy. And I don't want 24/7. I don't want like your complete time. But I just, if we're dating, if we're seeing one another, you'd expect someone to make time for you. But I tolerated all those things. So I fell for a lot of toxic relationships. And now I've mentioned this before that I currently have an interest in a guy. And because I'm in a healing journey, here's the thing when you're healing. When you're healing, you think you're suddenly gonna make better choices, Like when you start reading like maybe self-development or self-awareness books, or you watch videos about how to be confident, you da da da, or about like childhood trauma, you start listening to podcasts, you start reading about it, you feel empowered, you feel informed, and you're thinking to yourself, yes, I'm healing, I'm changing my behaviors. People are not going to play with me anymore. I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm going to create boundaries. And it's all good and well. It is a very healthy start to your healing, but it just doesn't happen as fast as you would think. Just because on a daily basis you're consuming or saying affirmations, some people say affirmations and, tell themselves that I'm beautiful, I'm smart, da da da, or they read the books, they watch the YouTube videos, they listen to the podcasts. It's still just a process. And that's what I've realized for myself, that in as much as I see so much of God's hand in my healing journey. I'm watching YouTube videos, I'm listening to certain podcasts, learning about narcissistic abuse, learning about emotional abuse, psychological abuse, learning about manipulation tactics, learning about, people belittling you, gaslighting you, which are all things that I've faced from my own mother and my sister. And through this process, because for me, I'm not just doing it from a point of just getting worldly information. I can appreciate like a video informing me and enlightening me on something. But at the core of it, I believe that Jesus Christ is my healer. Other things are just extra resources. And so while I'm in this journey, praying, believing, reading, watching, learning, I'm realizing that it's just not going to happen overnight. And I think that has also helped me to slow down on like trying to fast track the process. Because there was a point where I was consuming so many videos a day about a narcissistic mother, narcissistic family members, emotional abuse, like how your family influenced your self-esteem, like dysfunctional, toxic family members. There was a time where I was consuming so much content just on that. And realizing that healing is not going to happen overnight, it helped me, and really by the grace of God, it helped me to slow down. Now I listen to a podcast maybe every after a day or 2 days. Sometimes I do go on a binging spree, but it has helped me to slow down, that me consuming 25 videos in a day, it's not gonna make the process go faster. But me maybe taking in one video, processing that, learning from that, looking at how it applies to my situation and how I can implement some of the tips or advice that are given from these videos, from the Bible when I'm reading scripture. How can I apply that to my life, to my own healing journey? That's actually going to produce long-term or permanent healing. Okay? I'm really in a process of healing, and I'm taking it step by step. Now, because I'm in a process, right, of healing, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a week or maybe in months, maybe not even in a year, Like it's different with everybody. For me, it's been a couple of months since I have started fully acknowledging the dysfunctionality and the toxicity within my own family, and then also realizing how that influenced my romantic relationship and even the rest of my life. Because just my confidence, my self esteem, obviously, when my confidence and self esteem was tinted, I couldn't function at work or at school because I doubted myself. Like I didn't have confidence. So the toxicity, dysfunctionality, and emotional abuse that transpired in my home, it affected a lot of areas in my life: my work life, my romantic life, my friendships, my social life, because I had a lot of anxiety. I had a lot of self doubt. I didn't believe in myself. I had a low self esteem. And that was all because of the result of my childhood upbringing. So while I'm in this process of healing, I was talking about me seeing side effects. I'm currently interested in this guy. He's younger than me. And with me being interested in this guy, and I haven't been interested in a guy for like a couple of years now, me being interested in this guy has made me realize even more that healing is definitely a process, because I'm seeing some negative side effects. Is that redundant to say? But I'm seeing the side effects of my childhood upbringing, because I have a very unhealthy attachment style. What I would normally do in my previous relationships, or even if I just liked a guy, I would obsess over that guy. Like, let me make a couple of examples to show you how I could like really get obsessive when I liked a guy. One time at church, I was in varsity, we had like a year end function, I believe. And I was looking cute. I went with my guy friend, but we were good friends. There was nothing romantic in that situation. But I mentioned that he was a guy because I felt like I was distracted for most of that night because I thought someone else was interested in me, which made me end up not really paying attention to him, which I guess, might have not felt good to him, even though I don't think he was interested in me in that way. Anyway, year end function. I step out of the bus. There was a transport that was like collecting everyone. I step out of the bus and there's this guy from the church and he looks at me, like I guess he saw that I was looking cute. And he didn't even say anything to me. He just, gave me that look that tells you that, ooh, he thinks I'm cute. And I got completely obsessed with the guy. So much so that I got back to my room. I told my roommate that there was this guy who gave me a look. And then I completely went on, I went on a crazy scheme, honestly. I tried to get that guy's number. So I tried to get that guy's number from another guy from church, and then I texted him. The guy who only gave me a look, by the way, just a look. Didn't say anything to me, didn't say he's interested. He just gave me a look, okay? Which honestly could have just been one of those guy looks, like when a guy is like, oh, I could just like have what do I want to say? I want to say that sometimes when guys look at you, it's not because they like thinking wife. They're thinking like, oh, it would be nice to have her just for the sake of like, I don't know, as a conquest, but not because they really into you like that. But for me, I took it as like, oh, he likes me, because he gave me a look. Just a look. Because of a look, I went on a whole journey to find his number. Okay, so this guy is in the same church with me. If he was interested in me, he would have actually made an effort to get my number from somebody. But no, I took the initiative, got his number from someone at church, and then I texted him, pretended like I wanted pictures from the event, just so that I could get like his attention. And the guy never actually approached me. He sent me the pictures, and that was it. He never said anything. He didn't even mention like the other night, like, hey, you looked beautiful at that function. He didn't even mention that. But I was so obsessed at just the idea of him loving me. All because he just gave me a look. Just a mere look. And there have been countless times where, like, a guy would give what I thought to me was a hint that he likes me, and then I would completely get obsessive over a guy. One time, my friend, again in varsity, my friend invites me to a church, and then there's this camera guy, like, he also keeps looking at me, and I'm like, oh, he's interested. I also got obsessive about that. And then I asked my friend who had invited me to her church, I asked her to give me his numbers. Luckily, and God bless her soul, she just said, like, no, that guy is not good for you. I know him, so I'm not going to do it. I was really hurt and I felt like she was sabotaging me. At the time, I felt like major sabotage. Why are you standing against love? But she never gave me her number, and I'm glad she never gave me his number. But that has been a habit for me, to get very obsessive with the idea of someone liking me, or with the idea of me being in a relationship with someone. And then I get obsessive. Even with guys that have actually been in a sort of relationship, I would actually get obsessed with the idea of what the relationship would be or could be, instead of just seeing it for what it is. So the reason I stuck around with the first guy that I was sort of like dating, the guy who never admitted that I was his girlfriend or in a relationship with me, the reason I stuck with that guy for years, because our thing was on and off for like maybe 3 to 5 years. The reason I stuck around with that is because I was just holding on and obsessing with the idea of what he could be to me, what our relationship could be, instead of just looking at the facts, instead of just looking at reality. Again, this goes back to my childhood upbringing. I was always fascinated, not even fascinated. I was always in my own world, where I always imagined my mother being there for me emotionally the way that I needed her. And so the reason I was such a mommy pleaser is because in my head, I kept imagining my mother, finally loving me, fully loving me, finally loving me in a way that matters. Because in as much as to other people, it might look like, oh, your mother loved you, like she raised you, like you guys never struggled. I understand why other people would think that my mother loved me fully. But to me, the one who was the daughter, the one who experienced living with her, I never felt her full, complete love and attention. I never felt her affection. I mentioned in one episode that my family and we actually not the kind of family that like hugs and touches. We're not really affectionate people. And so when I look at what transpired later on, where I would obsess with the idea of what a relationship could be, I realized that it's because I also obsessed with the idea of what my relationship with my own mother could be. So I was so fixated on thinking like, okay, if I just do more for my mom, if I be more for my mother, if I am everything that she wants and I do what she likes, then she will eventually love me. So that is what ended up happening when I started dating. I continued with the mentality that, okay, I get that they don't really give me attention or love, or maybe sometimes they make me feel small. Like that guy that I was on and off with for like 3 to 4 years, he would really make me feel small. That guy would crush my self-esteem. But I would just, keep it moving, because I was used to that. I mean, it would hurt. I'm not saying it would not hurt, but I just kept it moving because it was just subconsciously normal, I guess, because that's what I experienced with my own family. So who was I to expect anything different? And now that I'm having this interest with this guy, I see those bad habits that I had, those toxic habits that I had sipping in again. So I'm interested in this guy currently. He's younger than me. He's not said anything to me. He has not particularly shown that he's interested in me. We are very good friends at this point. like I mentioned in another episode, we met through a common activity. So every now and again, we get to see each other. He's a very sweet guy, very down to earth guy, very lovable guy, always smiling, very friendly, good with people, very social. And so it's not like he's like, saying, oh, I don't even want to talk to her. We talk. We are actually becoming good friends. But because for me, when I'm interested in someone, I get obsessive. Now, in as much as I do want to give myself credit that this time, since I'm interested in this guy, I'm not as obsessive as I used to be. So kudos to me, there's growth. But at the same time, there are still some bad habits that I have. This is why I'm saying that healing is a process. And so I did kind of have a hard time with understanding that, hey, I probably will still make some of the mistakes that I used to make. And that doesn't take away from the healing and the growth that I'm experiencing. It just means I have to keep working on it. It just means I have to keep practicing and implementing what I'm learning and how I'm healing. So with this guy, I mentioned in my other episode that like I got so interested that I posted on my WhatsApp status, I posted cute pictures of myself because I was trying to hook him. Again, this was another bad behavior, bad habit that I had in the past, where when I was interested in a guy, I would just do the most in order for him to pay attention to me and then maybe approach me and then say that he likes me. So I was I was a hooker. Ooh, that's such a bad word. I wasn't a hooker in the literal sense, but I was just like, I was using certain things as a bait, to lure you in. And so with this current interest, that's what I did. I posted cute pictures of myself on my WhatsApp status, like trying to hook him. But he really just, he never said anything. He still hasn't said anything. And today, like my heart got broken. Ah, my goodness. I feel sad for myself. I feel sad for myself, but at the same time I have to forgive myself and have a little bit of grace, which is something that I've never had for myself. I was never really forgiving of myself or lenient with myself. I was always very hard on myself. But I'm giving myself some grace because I am heartbroken over a relationship that hasn't even materialized. Like, this guy has not made any moves on me, has not said anything, has not expressed or shown interest in a romantic way. He has just been a sweet guy to me. He has been, he's been a friend. And I am heartbroken because today we're meeting up. I see him and then we are left together and he's on the phone. He's speaking to his friend. Apparently it's about like his friend is saying that, hey, my girlfriend is coming over, but like she's gonna come with her friend. Okay, but I need you to like, keep the friend entertained. And then he hangs up. Like that conversation went on for like a long time and I was really uncomfortable because we were just like together at that moment. No one else was there. And then he hangs up and he's like free with me. He tells me like, hey, this is what my friend is saying. So he goes on to explain to me that I actually like helped my friend to meet with this girl that I know. But now that like this girl is visiting this side, he actually wants me to like, keep the friend off. Oh, I'm losing myself. What am I saying? So the guy that I'm interested in, I need names because it's getting crazy. Let's call the guy that I'm interested in Sam. So Sam is my interest, right? And then Sam has a friend called Kim, okay? So Kim has a girlfriend that Sam actually like fixed them up with. So the girlfriend says that she's gonna come with a friend because she doesn't want to come alone this side. And then Sam, my interest, right, is saying that Kim is saying that I should keep the girlfriend's friend like company. And for me, that broke my heart. Like, dude, why are you telling me that? So you're comfortable telling me that you're gonna be hanging out with some girl just because you're helping your friend out. But I actually had no right to be mad about that because first of all, I haven't expressed that I have feelings for him, and there's no need for me to do that because like I said, for me, shooting my shot has failed so many times. I don't want to do it. Like for me, it's not for me. It is not for me. I'm not shooting my shot anymore because it has failed dismally. So I'm not gonna be the first one to say that I have feelings. It's not a pride thing. It's based on experience. My experience has taught me that whenever I fire my shot and I'm like, "Ooh, I like you, guy," it has failed. It has failed. It has ended terribly. And the guy ended up just going along because I guess maybe he felt sorry for me and was like, "Oh, she likes me, so I'll go along with it." But he wasn't like genuinely interested. So with this guy, with Sam, I don't want to do that. But here is Sam now, like freely talking to me as like his friend, telling me that he's probably going to be hanging out with some girl, like for the sake of helping his friend out. And there I am, my heart just throbbing, breaking, and thinking to myself, Sam, how could you do this to me? But like, Sam is not really doing anything wrong because Sam has not said he's interested in me, and Sam doesn't know that I'm interested in him. So there's nothing wrong with what he's saying. And then after that, he makes another call. Ugh, it was a terrible day. He makes another call, and now it sounds like he's talking to a girl. He starts the call and was like, they start talking about the network. Like, we hope, like, Sam is saying, I hope the network is going to be good this time. And then he says, so how was your day? Like, name one guy who's going to ask his guy friend, like, how was your day? Like, no guy, I don't think that's how guys communicate. Like, I don't think a guy like picks up his phone and like goes to his friend and was like, okay, so how was your day? Like, it feels just a little intimate for guys. I don't know. I don't think that happens. But it sounded like now he's talking to like a girl, which I suppose maybe that's like his girlfriend. And then after a few minutes, he actually steps out, and goes and takes the call outside, which, further proves that that was probably his girlfriend. My heart was breaking, breaking. Why? Why was my heart breaking over a non existing relationship? This guy is not my boyfriend. This guy has not expressed interest in me, but my heart was breaking because I was already back at the habit of obsessing of what me and Sam could be. Like I was already thinking like, oh, Sam and I was already imagining him kissing me. I was already imagining him taking me out on a date. And another thing that I realized today is that I also had a bad habit of not taking people for who they are. Like when someone shows you who they are, just take it as it is. Don't try to reason it. Don't try to justify it. Don't try to think that it will change. Just take it as it is and think that if that's something you want to live with for the rest of your life. So the first issue with Sam that I have is that he's younger than me, but he looks about my age, maybe even older than me. That's how he looks, but he's actually younger than me. So I thought that, maybe he's mature, because he looks mature. He has a physique that makes him look like, he's a brother, like a proper brother. So like walking down the street, people would think like we are the same age. But then I have been trying because now I'm obsessing, right? So I have been trying to reason with myself that, oh, just because he's younger than me doesn't mean he's mature. Age ain't nothing but a number. That's me convincing myself. First of all, I've never thought of myself to date a younger guy. But because now I'm obsessing about this guy, I'm already trying to convince myself that dating a younger guy is not a big deal. And then when he was on the phone with his friend, before the potential girlfriend call, when he was on the phone with his friend, he really sounded childish. And I was like, okay, yeah, it goes to show that he is younger than me. Like he was laughing loudly, like it was actually loud in a way that kind of annoyed me. And he just sounded like a kid, And because I was already in a state of trying to convince myself that, oh, the fact that he's younger than me is not a big deal because he doesn't look like his age, that was just me going back to my bad habits where I didn't want to acknowledge the facts. The fact that this guy is young, and he's not just young, he doesn't seem mature. He's not the one of those young people where you say like, oh, he's super mature. He's not mature. But I was trying to reason and ration that because I was already obsessing with the idea of what our relationship could be. And that's a habit that I really need to stop doing. I need to stop trying to fit people into a box of what I want them to be. This guy is not going to suddenly change to be what I want him to be. And me trying to convince myself that I can tolerate what he is simply because I like him is a lie. And it is the lie that has gotten me into very toxic relationships.